You're listening to Mondays Unfiltered, the podcast for anyone who's accepted that work is inevitably work. We're your hosts, Heather and Kristin. We break down burnout, baffling policies, and corporate chaos with dry humor and real solutions. Grab your coffee and whatever optimism survived the weekend, Mondays have begun. A little about us. Chris spent decades helping executives shape brands and craft messages that inspire, and I built systems that actually made those visions work behind the scenes and kept people from falling apart in the process. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Heather.
Hey, Kristin.
How are you again?
I'm good. It's always good to see
Good.
you.
So, one of our last ones that we talked about was company culture. And maybe we can dive into this a little bit deeper
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, because I found a really sad posting from somebody. Um, and we talked about this before. So, let's start with a stat
Okay.
from TriNet, which is another HR outsource company. Over 212 million vacation days go unused in the US each year.
Mm,
So
yeah.
people get their vacation and they don't use it. Did you used to use your vacation?
Yeah, I made a real habit of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would make sure that in the beginning I saved them for like a longer vacation, but I never really the only thing that I would do is I would use some of them towards the end of the year in the holidays, and then you would roll a few over. But it would typically be like you have a limited rollover. And my parents both worked in like government level, a nurse and a fireman. So they would
Mm-hmm.
stack their vacation because when they would retire, they would pay out. But
Right.
in corporate world, it didn't do that. So I started scheduling one vacation day a month, and I tried to
Nice.
always suit them around a holiday of some sort. And if not, it would be like a
Right.
Friday off. But even when my nephew was younger, I used to babysit him on Wednesdays. So I would
Oh, nice.
take my Wednesdays off, help my sister out, and babysit my nephew.
What a nice sister.
Well, I got to spend time with him too. He was real cute. Now he's got a big
Oh.
mouth.
No, and it's a nice excursion away from work. So
Yeah.
so what prompted this? I came across an article, and so Heather and I are always looking for ideas, and I've started looking at Reddit posts, and Heather and I both get oodles and oodles of newsletters and emails and stuff. And I came across a post that I just thought was pathetic.
Okay.
And there are tons of Reddit threads about this subject.
Okay.
There were two examples, and I'm not sure if I have them linked or not, but one of them was a person who had accrued 2 weeks vacation, and you just got back from a European trip,
Yeah.
and you know how it's a long time to fly over there.
Yeah. It's a long time.
Yeah, and so had put in well in advance of 2 weeks vacation, and the manager groused at them and said, "Well, why are you taking 2 weeks off? I'll approve it this time." And this person had, lined up his work, made sure everything was done.
Yeah.
He says, "But I don't want you doing this again." And he goes, "Well, I have even more than 2 weeks vacation. Why are you not wanting me?" "Well, because I just don't think you need to do that."
That's your opinion.
That's your opinion. Well, my dad used to take 2 and 3 weeks because he's French.
Right. I was gonna say European people usually take like a month in August, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, we
Or is that
would.
like olden days?
No, I think they still do over there. I mean, we were over here, but he would take a couple weeks. He traveled so much,
Mm-hmm.
and he was gone like over weekends because he
Yeah.
was flying overseas.
Right.
So for him to decompress, he needed the two. He would take 3 weeks sometimes.
Yeah. Because
So
even when I came back, oh man, I needed to rest.
yeah, oh, yeah. Going to
I
Europe is
could not
tiring.
imagine going back to work. Like, fortunately for me, I work from home and I'm on my own schedule. So I could not imagine having to go back into the office after doing that.
So the other thing I came across
Yeah.
was another post by a woman who was being shamed for using her half hour lunch break, which she put up on the screen, um, that it was part of her compensation package, away from her desk. And I think it became such an issue that the manager fired her. I don't know if it ended up really in a true firing,
Yeah. But that's
but
unhealthy to just to be at your desk for and not having breaks, not having scheduled time away, A, for your physical health and B, for your mental health. And I'm huge on mental health.
so it's like we were talking about culture, and I'm like, what the heck? No,
Yeah. Well, and one of the things in the industry that I was in last in accounting, it was a big deal to not take vacation time during busy season. So
of
that's
course.
January to May, though. That's a long time. And like you said, if you've scheduled yourself and you have programming in place, and like that was a big organization, you can't tell me that someone can't have a day off or a random weekend. Like you need that time to recoup. You're just burning the candle at both ends for 5 straight months. That's not healthy either. And there's enough people in the organization that you shouldn't have to tell someone they can't have time off.
Right. Well, I think it depends. Like in sales, like when you work for enterprise sales, we avoided taking time off at the end of any quarter because you were trying to get your deals in before the end of the quarter.
Yeah, but
You
I
know,
think like exceptions, come on.
yeah. But
Like,
well, there was a payoff, for a salesperson.
yeah,
You
right,
want your deals in because you're
right.
getting
But if you're
commission.
like data entry and your, systems processing and your tax processing, I think taking a day off and even like I can see like saying, yeah, you can have Tuesday or Wednesday off or, a Monday off, but make sure you're here on Saturday when we're like cranking stuff out. I can see having like stipulations, but to reprimand people, first of all, people are adults. And second, and another thing that changed in recent years was unlimited vacation. And so then you're limiting unlimited.
Yeah, that's a double-edged sword. They did that because they didn't want it to pay out.
Yeah, I
People
know.
were accruing. And but I knew people like because the last two or three companies I worked for had unlimited.
Mhm.
And but then you would like, oh, I can't take any vacation.
Right. And
I
that's what
knew
they want.
people, I knew people that took their vacation regularly.
I took it.
Yeah. Um,
Because and somebody said this on my team and I gave them a high five and then I was like, I'm adopting that, is you pay me for the value that I provide, not for the amount of time that my butt is in a chair.
right. Well, when you're salaried too, like
Right, right.
it's
Yeah, and we
you,
were all salaried.
yeah. And think of all the time that you work as a salaried employee past the 8 hours a day.
Yeah. Well, and now everybody's contacting you on your phone 24/7 and
Yeah.
yeah, it's a little
So it's
excessive.
it's totally ridiculous that we still have that culture. And it's really something that's, at pandemic levels here in the United States. And I think even more people. I was talking to another person, a former colleague of mine. They have unlimited vacation. She's been there at her company for a really long time. She, she didn't really grow up with like the ethos of taking a vacation. She didn't do that per se, but she's high enough and um she almost feels bad about it. Like
Oh, that's unfortunate.
I'm like, you
You've
work
earned
really,
it.
really hard and long
Yeah.
hours, and you should be taking your time off, and you should be providing a and in one of the articles I was reading, it was talking about managers should provide the example
Hmm.
to their
And
employees. Take your
celebrate that,
time off.
like, be appreciative that they're taking care of themselves. And especially, there was something that the last manager that I had, it the statement that I'm trying to adopt more regularly in my mind is you can have 1,000 problems until you have a health problem, and then you have one problem. And I remember there was a time where she kept telling herself, even though she was sick, she just needed to do this one more thing. She just needed to do this one more thing. And she pushed and pushed and pushed. And she ended up in the hospital for a week because she had gotten an infection and ignored it. And
Oh my gosh, this is
yeah,
somebody you know?
yeah, it was my last supervisor.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
yeah. And so then she had more sympathy for other team members when they were like, I'm sick. She was like, take your time.
Yeah, I used to hate it when, when we were back when we were in the office and people would come in all sick. I'm like, why are you coming in all sick to spread stuff?
Hmm.
That's just, and here's the thing is, for the most part, that company is not going to be that loyal to you.
Right,
Like, so for you to put your health
right.
on the side, and in fact, talk about health, I can't remember where this quotation came from, but it came from one of the resources, and I have several. People who take vacations have lower stress, less risk of heart disease, a better outlook on life, and more motivation to achieve goals.
Right. Well, and like that woman that you mentioned with the lunch that was being reprimanded for taking her lunch away and going for a walk on her lunch, that is both mentally improving herself and physically improving herself. And to shame somebody for that is not acceptable. Like I would have for sure been in HR's office combating that.
I don't know what the cretin, it was her male manager. It was, I don't know why he was like so unenlightened
Yeah.
about the necessity to get up and away from your desk and it
Yeah.
refreshes your brain. So,
Well, it's
but I
just
mean,
bad. Like they say the sitting for excessive hours is the new smoking. Like the amount of damage it does to your body, which I've said for years that I'm a professional sitter. And with the increased width of my chair every year, my rear end has matched.
oh, well, it's funny because I couldn't, I had a bunch of stuff yesterday, so I couldn't go work out. And I think how I've got this project going on with this one client of mine, and there's like a software thing we're doing and a whole marketing and sales strategy thing we're doing. And so we're getting towards some key milestones, and I get nervous. Not nervous, but I get like really focused when we get like that. And this morning there was something else I had to deliver on something else too, and I was like all anxious, and I had a call with a potential partner company that she canceled it, and I was like, you know what, I'm getting up and I'm going to the gym. So I went to the gym, and in the morning I had started off, I was all angsty, and I went to the gym for an hour. And I came back and I'm like, oh, I'm clear-headed. I'm in a much better mood.
Mhm.
Nobody had gotten me in a bad mood, and I love my clients. It was just
Pent up energy.
internal. It was
Yeah.
internal stuff and a lot of thinking about stuff. And, so it's so much better for you and you're so much more refreshed and you're much more productive. So, um,
Yeah, vacation was a hot button for me that if somebody were denied vacation, unless it was ill planned, like if like I know there was a comment about at one point in my career someone pre-scheduled themselves for all the holidays off and didn't take into account anybody else on the team to alternate with. They were just like, well, mine's already in. And I'm like, come on, don't be an ass.
that's that's shitty. Like
Yeah.
that is
Like
being an
work with your
ass.
team members. Like my parents, like I said, they were in medical services. So if you worked on Christmas Eve, you didn't have to work on Christmas Day, but then next year it would be the opposite. And then that was
Yeah.
so that there was even balance between your team members. So just be courteous to people. But I can't stand when vacations are denied unless there's legitimate support. And even not flat out denying, just adjusting or altering. And even if the people have someone else that can cover their shift, and maybe there's going to be two people out from the same team, maybe another team that knows how to do the work can pick it up so that you don't have to deny it. But then in those situations, be like, now next time, don't do that again, but not don't ever take a 2 week vacation again. It's
Yeah.
horrible to tell people how to manage themselves.
It, that and don't take half hour, you're contractually
Yeah.
obligated. And she showed the contracts, like you get a
Yeah.
half hour. And I don't know if she was salaried or whatever, but she showed it on the screen, like to shame somebody that way. In your case, did that person who used to take pre-schedule, did somebody deal with them?
Yeah.
That's a cultural issue too. Like
Yeah.
the
It
manager
was.
needs to deal with them.
Yeah. Like, don't be doing that.
So did somebody take care of it and say you
Yeah.
can't do that?
Yeah. We
Good.
put a policy in place that you had to schedule it and that you couldn't have the same holidays annually off. You had to share with the team because there were so many. There were 35 office team members in office services in the office that I was in. And within those teams, like people could have other team members cover for them on other lines of business or whatever. But to try within your team, if there's like 6 or 8 of you guys, make sure that you're being courteous to each other. You have to work together every day. Don't burn bridges.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of like those are a couple of the tips. The tips that we had.
Yeah,
Well, the first one was if there is a culture that is shaming you for taking your time off, it's start a new culture. You know, again,
I
talk
love
with
that
you.
advice.
Yeah, start a new culture. Be proactive, be constructive,
Yeah,
and get together and say, hey, we all are tired. How do we change this culture in here? And then
right.
you kind of have to, I hate to use the word force, but you have to evolve the thinking and then if you're working together, like I'm always Pollyanna. To me, if you guys are working together and you're cooperating with each other and saying, hey, we've got coverage, this is our plan, this is how we're going to do it.
Right,
If you've got to man the phones,
right,
and I don't think things are that way anymore, but we're going to take turns, we're going to stagger our lunch, or we're going to do this. Like, there's so many different working situations nowadays.
right.
You'd already talked about this, Heather, but develop a backup system.
Hmm.
Um, one of the things that I think it was one of the professional things, make sure there is a policy against shaming.
Mm,
Make
yeah,
sure there is a corporate
yeah,
policy.
because that's bullying.
Yes. And then the last one is have instruct your leaders, managers to lead by examples.
Yeah.
Um, again, document, understand your policies and procedures. This is for employees. You kind of touched on this a second.
Mm,
Make sure you're doing your work on time
yeah.
and turning it in on time. You're responsible because you can't ask for things if you're slacking off, right? I mean, that seems obvious, but
That goes back to Peter. It's not that not that I can't do the job. It's just that I don't care.
and then notify your colleagues and clients. Like, I
That's a
had a
big one.
horrible. I have to share my own personal. So I was sick. I was 28 years old. I was sick with chickenpox.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you know this. I didn't know it, but when you're older,
I do.
um, you're 10 times sicker. And I was out for 3 weeks. And this was back in the day. We didn't have cell phones, blah, 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 blah. And my manager back then, who I couldn't stand, in fact, I think I'll probably find some really good stories about her at some point. Um, she was supposed to be my backup, and she didn't. And there
Mm,
was some key things happening, and basically my client reamed me out, and I was like, "Well, she was supposed to do XYZ," and I was young then. I'm like,
yeah. Well, and
actually,
now
I was
we
younger than
have like the
28.
out of office where you can be like, because I'm out of the office, please contact this person instead.
I did
That's
that.
oh, really?
That person dropped the ball. That
Uh,
manager dropped the ball. There's a lot of evil things I can talk about her, but
yeah,
usually if you're coordinating with somebody, they
yeah.
have your back. So,
Hopefully.
um, at any rate, like that, we didn't do the movie that quote. Um,
What was it?
well, I'll tell you something. This is no longer a vacation. It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
What is that from? Quest for Fun.
Mhm.
I have no idea.
It's very easy to guess.
I was gonna say vacation, like
Yes,
yeah, okay. With
Clark Griswold.
Clark Griswold.
Those are like the stupidest
Those are the
funny
best
movies.
movies. I love
I
them.
know, I know. So, anyways, love to hear from you guys. Um, what is your workplace policy on vacation, taking
And
time
have you
off?
had those managers that have shamed you, or do you have an awesome manager that lets you manage your time and that you guys have programming in place where you have backup and you can count on each other? Like I've had both sides. So obviously you prefer to have a functioning team that supports each other. So
And we are getting comments, so we do read the comments. We do respond when appropriate. And if you want to email us, you can email us at mondaysunfiltered@gmail.com. And until then,
stay unfiltered.
that's it for this episode of Mondays Unfiltered. If something today made you laugh, think, cringe, or finally question the workplace norms you've been conditioned to accept, good. That's where change begins. If you enjoyed the conversation, hit subscribe, share the episode with someone who deserves a better Monday, and help us push the movement towards healthier, more human workplaces. And we want to hear your stories, the surprises, the successes, the dysfunction, the burnout, the breakthroughs. Just send them our way. Your experience might shape a future episode. And remember, we can do better, we can be better, and we don't have to tolerate BS just because it feels familiar. Until next week, stay curious, stay courageous, and stay unfiltered.